Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be talking about astrology and Al Roker's recent prostate cancer diagnosis. He has been recently diagnosed with prostate cancer. I believe he's going to have it removed through, obviously, surgery. I just want to talk about some things in his natal chart and also some transits that might be playing a role in this. The first thing I want to state, though, is by any remote chance anybody that knows Al Roker, any family members or friends that happen to see this video, I just want to offer my prayers are out to him, and that this goes smoothly, and there's no repercussions as a result of this surgery. The thing is, looking at his chart, well, I don't have his time of birth, so I had to improvise and do a solar/sunrise chart. Puts his sun, his sun is in Leo, obviously. He's August 20th, 1954. Puts his moon in Taurus. I thought it was interesting. I noticed he has a very, way he delivers like his weather forecast, very calm, placid manner. Now, having the sun in Leo, this is where, Sun in Leo can be about, getting attention and notoriety, recognition. That's what Leo wants. The Sun is about our wants. And the fact that the Moon is in Taurus, it's not surprising because this energy is being flavored in a very calm, placid manner. His delivery with the weather, whatever he's doing is done again in a very composed, very calm, placid, peaceful manner. And I had wondered why. Considering I had known he was a Leo previously, but when I looked at his his delivery with the forecasting, I could really see him resonating with that Taurus moon energy. Now his ascendant is unknown because his time of birth is unknown. It wouldn't surprise me, he may have a Libra or Taurus ascendant, but that is just a guess. But you could obviously see his sun in Leo coming out, a very strong sunny disposition. He brightens, people's day, especially when he gives the good weather forecasts. And the thing about Al Roker, and looking at just some natal placements and some transits that might be tied in with his diagnosis. Well, one thing I noticed in his natal chart, he does have Pluto conjunct his sun, and Pluto, of course, is associated with the prostate, and the sun can be associated with the physical body. So it's not surprising this came out on a very large scale, which gained a lot of exposure, notoriety, and recognition. And the thing about it too is when I look at his chart as well, anything else natally, as far as any issues that he might have as far as the prostate goes, well, he has Saturn in Scorpio, and Saturn in Scorpio by itself can sometimes give Scorpio related difficulties, debilitations and problems. And Scorpio is associated with the prostate. He also, in the solar sunrise chart, he has Scorpio on the fourth house cusp of the end or latter part of life, and that can indicate that during his latter part of life there could be prostate issues. So, and one of the rulers of the fourth house cusp of the end of life is Pluto, and that conjuncts his sun in Leo, and the sun again can be associated with the physical body. Now, another thing that I'm looking at in terms of any transits in his as far as any transits in his chart that might be indicative of any issues as far as the prostate goes. And now he does have transit Pluto not far from his natal Chiron in Capricorn, and Pluto is associated with the prostate. Chiron it's not just about emotional ones, it could be about physical ones as well, and surge. It could be about incisions and cuts. And Also, Pluto is associated with surgery, and he has the transit Pluto, the planet associated with surgery, very close proximity to his natal Chiron. It's not surprising that he's going to be going. I guess you could say he's going to be having surgery, which involves incisions. That could be Chiron, because Chiron could be about physical wounds associated with the prostate. Pluto is associated with the prostate. Transit Jupiter is closing in on his natal Chiron as well. And as I've spoken about in previous videos, Jupiter could be rather paradoxical. It could be very strongly benign and benevolent, but it could also have a tendency to enlarge and expand. This could be enlarging and exacerbating issues that are associated with cuts, with physical wounds, and in this case it's going to be involving making the cuts to do the surgery on his prostate. But at the same time, this could actually be a very beneficial transit for, I would say, for this surgery, because Jupiter again is very benign, it's very benevolent, it's a planet of luck and fortune. It could be very fortuitous, and it is contacting Chiron, and Chiron could be again associated with physical wounds as well as emotional ones. And another thing that I'm noticing too when I look at his chart, and I'm going off a little bit on the Gemini moon tangent here, but he does have certain elements which looking at his chart, which are very good for doing what he does. And now I don't know if he honestly I don't know if he currently is still doing meteorology, if he's a weatherman, but I know he had done that at least at one point in his life. He has Jupiter in Cancer, being Jupiter in its exaltation in the zodiac sign Cancer, conjunct Uranus, and that could be very fortuitous for television, being in the sign of Cancer, bringing it into our homes. I would say Uranus could also be associated with meteorology, because Aquarius is associated with that. I would say the 11th house as well. And he does have, and it falls in that conjunction of Jupiter to Uranus, falls in his 11th house in his natal chart, the 11th house, which corresponds with Aquarius, and I would say meteorology as well. And the ruler of his 11th house in the solar sunrise chart, Mercury, conjuncts his sun. So it's not surprising that this meteorology was so tied in with his life. And the sun, well, you could say, does it come out in a flamboyant way, being Leo? It might not be necessarily flamboyant, that might not be the right word to describe it, but it comes out in a very loud, as far as what he's doing, what he's expressing. And he has, obviously, being Leo, it's not surprising he's gotten a lot of notoriety, attention, and recognition for this. So, and really not a lot else I really had to say regarding anything with his natal placements and his far as transits that might be tied in with this. Now, he does have transit Neptune is not far right now from his 8th house cusp. The 8th house in astrology is associated with surgery, and the thing about this is transit Neptune can be, is about weakness. It can be about dissolving, dissipation. So he needs to be, obviously this could be something, we're talking about the 8th house also in astrology can be associated with the prostate. The 8th house in astrology corresponds with Scorpio. So this could be about some weakness, manifesting some weakness and dissolving, dissipation of the prostate, and being removed. It's a little more than just being dissolved and dissipated, but it's weakening. It shows certain weakness in the fact that it's being removed. It's not even going to be there anymore. So in its own way, it's like it does manifest in that dissolving of the prostate. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, now the only other, some other things in this chart, I noticed something that stood out is that he does have Mars in Sagittarius. It's a singleton planet. It's the only planet he has in a mutable sign. He has it not far, it appears not far from the 29th degree, and he's really known for a lot of his exuberance, his enthusiasm, his expansive energy, and a lot of that is from being Mars is connected with our energy or vitality, and it's a planet, it can be associated with enthusiasm. He has that planet in exuberant, expansive, enthusiastic Sagittarius, so that energy is more pronounced and prominent given that it is a singleton. And in the solar slash sunrise chart, it falls in the 5th house of entertainment. So not a big shocker there for Al Roker to have that placement in his chart. He also had at this time, he had in fairly recent time, transit south node had actually separated from his natal Mars and Sagittarius. So I sense that maybe some of that enthusiasm, that exuberance has taken the wind out of the sails, and that energy, maybe Mars and Sagittarius energy that might be expressed with outdoors, even sports or athletics. That wouldn't surprise me if he was, recreationally involved, doing things outside, that could be sports related or what have you. Those things are now sadly maybe are going away to some degree, because when you're talking about transits involving the south node, it can reflect and manifest an energy we're going away from. But when I look at his chart, though, he does have, to me, having a sun in Leo and Taurus moon, I'm sure he's very strong-willed. Moon and Taurus, of course, and maybe not on a conscious level, on an unconscious level, could have very good powers of perseverance and endure things and fight things for a very long period. He's probably very stable on an emotional level, given that he does have the moon in its exaltation in the zodiac sign Taurus, and the sun, of course, is in its dignity in Leo. Not surprising, he's been very very successful in what he wanted to attain, because his sun only really like the major adverse aspect that it really makes is to the moon, and I don't know what time he was born, so it might not. It tells me that his sun probably does square his moon, but something that could be predicated on the time of birth. It may not square, but in all likelihood, it does. And again, depending on his time of birth. If he was born like really early in the morning, it wouldn't square it. But anything other than that, it looks to me like it would square it. And when you have either no or little adversarial energy connected with your sun, talking about adverse aspects, it shows that I do believe that could indicate that you have a better chance of obtaining your wants, what you want in life, with little opposition and resistance. And he's obviously somebody that strikes me, somebody that's got a very good heart and somebody that's got a very positive attitude, and I think it will go a long way in him dealing with the prostate issue. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.